Now, for more than 2 decades, under several presidents, immigration reform has failed to pass Congress, and the reality is any legislation is going to require bipartisan support. Are you willing to reach across the aisle and reach consensus?
It's not even that I'd be willing to do it. It's what I've already done. In my 2 short years in Congress, I have stood on the border with Republican members of the House to be able to learn what's going on at the border, because if Republicans and Democrats are there together and we can learn these things together, then we can come up with solutions. And so what I have done after going to the southern border is come back to Washington, D.C. and formulate the plan. The Stop Fentanyl at the Border Act, it's my bill. It is a bipartisan bill. It is supported by the National Fraternal Order of Police. We need to make sure that we solve this issue because it does affect us here. I've taken those phone calls from moms and dads who have an addicted child, or they have a child that no longer sits at their kitchen table. So this is a real issue. But it also, as I'm working to find solutions here, real solutions, it's also insidious to me that anyone would play politics with this issue, because this does affect people in Rockford. This does affect people in Winnebago and Freeport. We need to solve the problem. But just in the 2 short years that I have been in Congress, I have already done that. And that is something that I will commit to do, to work with Republicans and Democrats to get the job done.
The failed congressional immigration bill that was brought up earlier this year, we saw more money going to the wall, to the border. We saw increases in border officers and even putting some restrictions on asylum seekers. What were some provisions of that bill that you liked or didn't like? Vice President Harris said she would sign that bill into law. Would you support it?
These are things that I've already supported in Congress. These are votes that I've already made in Congress. But look, if one particular piece doesn't get to the floor or doesn't get voted on because Speaker Mike Johnson is playing politics with this, it means that we have to come up with more legislation, right? And so there are many on both sides of the aisle that are bringing legislation to the floor. But it's the extremists in the House GOP that don't want to have anything to do with solving the problem. They want to use it as talking points. They want to have their very slick mailers and the very scary ads that are on TV. That is their goal right now. And so we have to understand that the people that need to be elected to Congress have to be the ones that are in the middle. They have to be the ones that are willing to stand on the aisle and shake hands with someone on the other side so that we can build up the consensus to solve the problem. And I do say a lot that this is a very complex issue. Immigration as a whole, securing our border, it's a complex issue. But because it's a complex issue, it's going to take a complex solution, and we're going to need to see it through from beginning to end.
Most definitely, Congressman. I couldn't agree with you more. I wanted to ask you specifically when it comes to that bipartisan support, do you see it a little difficult for the other side of the aisle looking for a path to citizenship for several amnesty programs, even including Dreamers? Do you think that's kind of hard for them to come to ends with?
I think that there is a lot of room for a movement on the middle. And like I believe, this is a very, very complex situation. And, we do, I think it's human nature that we try to find a simple answer. Or we try to point to that one bill that could have solved everything. It's not one bill in Congress. It's going to be dozens and dozens of bills going forward. It's reframing our immigration system. But then it's also understanding, we can't outdrive our headlights, but we have to know where we're going on the map, right? We have to understand that we're putting Republicans and Democrats together to be able to say that we want to solve this problem. And look, I hear from my neighbors all the time. They want Congress to accomplish these things, be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We have to be able to secure our border, but also create the pathway to becoming an American if you want to follow our laws. And one of the greatest things that I've been able to do as a member of Congress was stand on that stage at the Coronado Theater to be able to say to these folks who are brand new Americans that, you know what? I don't know what this feels like because I was born in Rockford. You were born somewhere else. You became an American citizen. I don't know what this day is like, but I want you to make sure you take part in voting. But then also, when you vote, I want you to understand and picture your name on the ballot, because that's what it's like to be an American. We need to make sure that our dreamers have a place in Rockford because they're already here and they're already wonderful people. We have to accept them for the people that they are.